All right, in 19 and 20, we're going to look at doing some synthetic division. Actually, we just looked at some of that here in problem 16 and 17. Um, we might have put that in the wrong sequence here on this paper, but let's go through synthetic division. Kind of already talked about it a little bit in 16 and 17. So in 19, we have this polynomial, x cubed minus 7x minus 6, and we're dividing it by x minus 2. And in order to use synthetic division, this has to be just an x. It has to be a 1x. It has to be to the first power. It has to be a linear term so that we can get a very nice 0 out of this. If we took this factor and stated the x-intercept for that particular factor, the x minus 2, set that equal to 0, we know that x is equal to 2 in that particular case. So when you have a whole number 0 here, we're able to use what's called synthetic division to divide that term out of this polynomial. Okay, so process of synthetic division, you're going to start with a box, and in that box you need to put the 0. So here that's going to be a positive 2. Then the next step is going to be to list out all the coefficients. And we need to account for every single power of x. And you can see we have an x cubed as our highest power. Well, we're going to need a squared term in here because we're missing that. So in between here, there's actually a squared term that's missing. Now, how many of those squared terms do we have? 0. So we have a 0x squared. Okay. So now let's list out all the coefficients. So for the x cubed, that's a 1. For the x squared, that's a 0. For the x, that's negative 7. And for the constant, that's negative 6. Okay. Now, to complete the synthetic division, after we have it all set up, you take the very first number, and that just comes straight down. That's going to be a 1. Then you're going to go through a process of multiply, put the answer here, add these numbers. Multiply, put the number here, add the numbers. Multiply, put the number here, add the numbers. So we're going to do 2 times 1, and we're going to get 2. Then you're going to add these two terms together. So that's going to get you a 2. Now we're going to take these two numbers, we're going to multiply them together, and we're going to get a 4. Then you're going to add these two together, which gets you negative 3. Then we're going to multiply these two terms together, and we get a negative 6. Then we're going to add these terms together, and you're going to get a negative 12. Okay? Now, if you watch the videos on question 16 and 17 above, you would remember that we got 0 here each time. Well, in this case, because we have a number here, this last value is going to be your remainder. Okay? So that's going to be your remainder, and we'll take care of that here as we write our final answer. So on here, we have our highest power of the original polynomial was x to the third, but we're dividing it by an x to the first. So if you take an x out of an x to the third, that means your answer must have x squared as its highest power. So these are going to be the coefficients of your new polynomial, and we're going to write them one at a time from decreasing power from x squared. So you're going to have 1x squared plus 2x minus 3. And then you're going to have a remainder here, and your remainder, just like it was in elementary school, you take your remainder, put it over your divisor. So in this case, that's over x minus 2. So here's your polynomial that you get as a result. Okay. So if we move on to number 20, this one looks like we have an x to the fourth, an x to the third. Again, looks like we're missing the square term, so we need a 0x squared in this one. And then we got the x in the whole number. So again, we need the 0 here. So this is x equals 7. This is your 0. Okay. The 0 goes into our box, which in this case is 7. We list our coefficients. So this is 1, negative 6, 0 for the x squared, negative 40 for the x, and a positive 33 for your constant. Draw your line, drop your first number down, multiply, you get 7, add, you get 1. Multiply, you get 7, add, you get 7. Multiply, you get 49, add, you get 9, multiply, you get 63, add, you get 96, okay, which doesn't look too nice. Okay, so we've got 11796. This again is your remainder. Okay, so that's your remainder. So then, because we started with a fourth power and we divided at an x, our first term is a cube. So we have 1x cubed plus 1x squared plus 7x plus 9. And then our remainder is positive, so it's plus 96 over your divisor, which is x minus 7. Okay? So there is your final polynomial, number 20, after you divide. Looks like both of these weren't very nice. We had remainders. But remember, the only time you can use synthetic division on these problems is if you have a 1x squared and then plus or minus a number so that you get a nice 0 value. Okay?